So what other way do we witness? And this is out of the Desire of Ages, and in fact, I'm not going to read it. I'll just tell you basically what it says. It talks about the transformed life. The person who was an addict who is now clean.
Amen.
The person who was a spouse abuser who is now a protector. In other words, the rough becoming gentle, the coarse becoming refined, the person who had a foul word on their mouth in every sentence that now speaks only pure things. In other words, the life transformation of mean-spiritedness to kindness and grace and compassion and Christ-like character. It is the character transformation in people that is what's powerful. This is also how we should discriminate. Do you notice I said discriminate? We should discriminate based on character. A person looking for a spouse should discriminate the dishonest, deceitful, cheating person from the honest, loyal, faithful person. They should make a distinction in their selection based on that. Don't you agree? If you're hiring someone for employment, you should discriminate based on the trustworthiness and the reliability of the person's character. But what's happening in society, it's all moving away from character and ability to identity. It's a corruption. It's a lie. Character is what it's always about. What's the heart? And that transformation of character will make you a true witness for God's kingdom. So how do we apply this when we witness to other people, when we reach other people? Not only must we then have love, a new heart where we have love for other people, and we want to go out and witness and reach other people, one way to do that is in service, in doing social justice. Not through legislation, but through ministry in the community. Helping people who need help, ministering to those that are sick, adopting the orphan without a family. In other words, social justice, treating people equally because they're children of God. And then when we minister to people, it opens the door for them to receive. They want to. Why do you care enough to help me? Where does that come from? Because I was once lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. I want to share with you what changed me. So, this is out of Counsels to the Church 284. But in order to actually help people in your community, it requires that you have godly wisdom, which means you must understand design law. If you don't understand design law, if it's all rules, then the rule is you have to give to people who don't have. If they don't have as much as you, then you have to give some to them because it's only fair if you've got more and they've got less that you give them some, and that's how you help people, because they're without and you give them stuff because you've got. This is very primitive thinking. Listen to this out of Counsels of the Church. There are two classes of poor who have always been within our borders. Those who ruin themselves by their own independent course of action and continue in their transgression, and those who for the truth's sake have been brought into strained circumstances. We are to love our neighbor as ourselves, and then toward both of these classes we should do the right thing under the guidance and counsel of sound wisdom. But before I even go on, it's perhaps suggesting that you treat them differently. You don't give them the same thing, depending on the circumstances. If we confuse the two classes, could we actually harm rather than help?
Enable.
Guarantee we will.
Either leaving someone who needs help unhelped because we lump them together, or giving help to someone who shouldn't be helped because they need to help themselves, thus enabling and crippling. It requires wisdom. So let's keep on with the quote. There is no question in regards to the Lord's poor, those who find themselves in circumstances not because of persistent failure to fulfill their responsibilities. No question in regard to the Lord's poor. They are to be helped in every case where it is for their benefit. I mean, there's cases when it's not for their benefit?
Yep.
Interesting. That's a little hard for me. I got to think now. I didn't want to think. I just wanted the church tell me a rule. I got to donate this much. I filled my checkbox now, and I got my list checked off, and I'm good, and I'm righteous now because I did what I was supposed to. Give so much percent to missions, and then I'm good, right? Tithe 10%, church this much expense, missions that much. I'm good, right? Oh, and I also pay my taxes. We'll get to that in a moment. Continue with the quote. God wants his people to reveal to a sinful world that he has not left them to perish. Special pains should be taken to help those who for the truth's sake are cast out from their homes and are obliged to suffer. The poor among God's people must not be left without provision for their wants. Some way must be found whereby they may obtain a livelihood. Ooh, how do we help them?
Give them a job. Get them back on their feet.
Help them restore to independence, to autonomy, to self-recovery, to where they can provide for themselves. Now, there are times, we've had tornadoes here in this town. Homes have been ruined. People need a place to stay. They don't have the resources necessary. But the helping them is not to then just put them permanently in government housing and send them a monthly check. The help is to give them some housing while we give them a job, while we help repair their home so they can live independently again. Isn't that the goal?
Amen.
Some will need to be taught to work. Others who work hard and are taxed to the utmost of their ability to support their family will need special assistance. Perhaps a pay raise, perhaps a new job, perhaps a subsidy, perhaps low-cost housing. They're doing all they can in their power. They're not negligent. They need help too. We should take an interest in these cases and help them to secure employment. There should be a fund to aid the worthy poor. How many churches have an employment bureau set up to help the people in their community find employment? I've never heard of it. Interesting. Here's another one. Methods of helping the needy should be carefully and prayerfully considered. We are to seek God for wisdom, for he knows better than short-sighted mortals how to care for the creatures he has made. There are some who give indiscriminately to everyone who solicits their aid. In this they err. In trying to help the needy, we should be careful to give them the right kind of help. There are those who, when helped, will continue to make themselves special objects of need. They will be dependent as long as there is anything upon which to depend. When we give to the poor, we should consider, am I encouraging prodigality? Prodigality, the prodigal son. Prodigality, prodigal son, that's wastefulness. Failing to fulfill one's obligation. Am I encouraging it by giving to let this person be negligent with their times and resources? Am I helping to or injuring them? No man who can earn his own livelihood has a right to depend on others.
Amen.
Who can. Powerful stuff, folks. Powerful stuff. The New Testament in Thessalonians said those who won't work should not eat. And why is that the case, folks? What does God simply want people clothed, fed, and sheltered? Is that his goal? No, he wants to restore righteousness in the character. He wants to restore integrity. He wants to restore the image of God in man. And he designed us to work in Eden without sin. He gave them work to do because we're created in the image of our Creator. And it builds us up. It gives us a sense of achievement, a sense of value, a sense of accomplishment when we use our energies to create. We're little creators, not just procreators for life. We're creators. We create buildings, we create artwork, we create gardens, we create farms, we're creators. And when we exercise our abilities to create, to engage, to do, it helps us grow. It lifts us up. It is quite demoralizing and destructive to the integrity of a person to be treated by society in a way that says you're incapable. You can't create. You can't achieve. You can't do. You're incapable. You need a check from the government because you're disabled and you're incapable. It's destructive to the integrity for those who have abilities. So it's not destructive to people who are actually disabled. Okay? But for those who are not, it's destructive. And we should be working to help lift up and restore the image of God, which requires, again, wisdom. And it comes right back to design law. You can't get there by passing a rule. Rules are cookie cutter. It does not understand situation. Those quotes are all about understanding the circumstances and the situation, which requires we get to know people. And it's so much better for the Christian to pass laws to create social support networks run by the institution, the government, so I pay my taxes and I don't actually have to get involved. I don't have to actually meet people. I don't actually have to get my hands dirty. I am taking care of the social justice in my community by paying my taxes and having a heartless agency do it. And I can feel good. And I'm going to feel so good about it, and I know it's so righteous, I'm going to make sure that everybody else in my society pays those taxes and participates in that way as well. I'm going to force it. And I will tell you what I wrote in my blog this week is one of Satan's goals is to remove the loving, compassionate Christian and insert a heartless, soulless institution in its place. Lives are not changed by institutions. Lives are changed by people loving people. That's the gospel message. Love your neighbor as yourself. Gracious Father in heaven,